The reason that some fans think Ghost Rider's Penance Stare sucks now is because in recent years, more and more comic book characters seem to be immune to it.
Look into my eye.
This usually works.
Well, performance issues, it's not uncommon. 1 out of 5.
Thereby nerfing the power of the stare. What happens is, basically, Flameskull attempts to use what's supposed to be one of their strongest supernatural powers against someone, only for them to have some reason why it doesn't work. Sometimes these reasons make sense, but other times, they're very contrived reasons that fundamentally misunderstands the basic fundamentals of the power. So I'm going to go through some of these instances and determine who should have been affected by the stare, and who can actually get away with shaking it off like they accidentally made eye contact with someone who's raising money for a good cause. But first, who is Ghost Rider and what is the Penance Stare? The Ghost Rider is supposed to be one of the most powerful characters in the Marvel Universe. Typically a human that has been bonded to the ancient demon Zarathos? The flaming-headed spirit of vengeance can normally go toe-to-toe with most other Marvel characters with their superhuman strength, invulnerability, hellfire manipulation, and of course, their sick ride. But the most powerful of their supernatural arsenal is the power of the Penance Stare, which, when the rider locks eyes with any being with a soul, should be able to make them experience all of the pain and suffering their sins have ever caused others. Introduced in the Ghost Rider Revival series in 1990, one important thing to note for later is that it does seem that the rider can choose to deliver this punishment to varying degrees, depending on the situation, so not everyone will experience the same effects. Essentially, possible side effects of experiencing the Penance Stare include damnation, smiting, death inducement, emotion projection, fear inducement, guilt inducement, hypnotic vision, mind control, incineration, insanity inducement, killing eyes, pain inducement, paralysis inducement, soul mutilation, soul destruction, telepathic implementation, torment inducement, unconsciousness inducement, and bowel control problems. So, the most recent and possibly most egregious Penance Stare rebuff goes to one Victor Von Doom PhD. This took place in the Doomed 2099 one-shot, which was a tie-in to the One World Under Doom Marvel comic event, which saw Dr. Doom finally achieve his goal of becoming an all-powerful ruler of the Marvel Universe. Wait, sorry, that's 2015 Secret Wars. I always get those two mixed up. Anyway, in Doomed 2099, Cosmic Ghost Rider attempts to give Doom the old remorse glare, only for Doom to respond that, as he understands it, the Penance Stare won't work on him because he has no regrets. Actually, Mr. Doom? I don't think you do understand it. Why would the Penance Stare have to rely on the receiver having regret? What a pointless power that would be.
Put your hands up. No. Why not? I don't want to.
In fact, this very problem was raised back in 1993, when reader Sean D. Padden wrote into the Ghost Rider comic to ask, in reference to the Penance Stare, why would a villain care about the pain inflicted on others? And the editors essentially confirmed that, yeah, that's the point. Villains don't care, which is why the Penance Stare makes them feel all the pain and suffering they've inflicted. Therefore, Dr. Doom, you've been pedantically corrected. Speaking of people who don't understand how the stare works, Frank Castle, aka The Punisher, claimed the exact same defense when he got blasted by the stare in Thunderbolts issue 29. Once again,
that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Interestingly, there was a similar situation in the Punisher 2018 series, in which the Penance Stare just made Frank throw up. Which, honestly, I'll take that over him shrugging it off completely. To be fair, Ghost Rider and Frank were on the same side at this point, so maybe it was less of a Penance Stare, more of a make you think a little about what you've done stare. Right, who's next? Oh yeah, Thanos. The Thanos 2016 series saw the Mad Titan using the Cosmic Ghost Rider's stare as a way to relive all of his horrific acts as a form of nostalgia, like looking through your old social media pictures, but with more intergalactic war crimes. I hope. Anyways, this example is actually not as bad as the others I mentioned. For one thing, the comic does not attempt to give a contrived reason why it's not actually hurting Thanos. It explains that he enjoys reliving the memories, but a lot of readers have confused this with that being the reason why he's immune, when actually I believe there is a more interesting reason behind this. Remember earlier when I said the riders could deliver the stare to varying degrees? Well, this particular stare is being done by the Cosmic Ghost Rider, who, at the time, was willingly working for an older version of Thanos who had basically wiped out almost all other sentient life in the universe. This rider is actually providing a service to this Thanos. He isn't actively trying to punish him, mainly because if he did, then he would have literally nothing else to do. So, in this specific scenario, Thanos does get a pass. unlike for his more serious crimes like cosmic genocide or only wearing one glove with his outfit. The next examples I'm going to go over are probably the most debatable when it comes to the core fundamentals of the Penance Stare. Of course, I'm referring to Venom and the Symbiotes. There have been two notable instances where the Penance Stare has not had the intended effect on Venom. One, in Ghost Rider Blaze Spirit of Vengeance issue 6, where he seems to be far more affected by the hellfire than the stare itself, though the Rider does remark that the symbiote is reacting to the stare in an unknown way. The other was in Thunderbolts issue 23, where the Rider seems overwhelmed by all of the sin the symbiote has taken part in across all its different hosts. The second example seems dumb since Ghost Rider routinely deals with pretty evil beings and demons, and the first one doesn't even show Venom being immune to the stare at all. But there is a trend of symbiotes not being affected by the stare, to the point that Carnage has shrugged it off so often that eventually he just mocks the Rider for attempting the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's like Lex Luthor laughing at you for being bald. My point being, if we look at the requirements needed for the stare to work, then it does make sense for why the symbiotes are unaffected. Firstly, the receiver needs to have a soul. Do symbiotes even have souls? I don't know, but when you see them in their goo form, it doesn't look like something with a soul. And while we're talking about their goo form, do they even have eyes? I know that when it's bonded to a host, it obviously has eyes, but are these just made for the sake of the human host? Because it seems to get around just fine on its own without them. So if the eyes are there for more aesthetic purposes, then maybe this is why the stare has no effect. And while we're on the topic of eyes, you know who the real champ of ignoring the stare would be? Daredevil. Ghost Rider even tried it twice in the comics and both times didn't work because, well, you know.
He's blind, you know.
Anyway, I've saved the biggest for last in Galactus. There are other situations that I haven't gotten around to in this, but I thought I'd focus on the instances that fans seemed most annoyed by. Partly for SEO reasons, but also because it takes me ages to edit even short videos like this. Back to Galactus though. He and Ghost Rider tussled in the recent Ghost Rider vs. Galactus one-shot comic, in which the Thing suggested the Rider try a stare on the Devourer of Worlds, just to see if it might work. A quick hitchhike on a spaceship, and we see exactly that being attempted. Ultimately, the stare has no effect on Galactus, to the Rider's surprise. Maybe Carnage was right about this guy. And we get a very convenient appearance from the Watcher to explain that it has no effect because Galactus knows neither guilt, nor remorse, nor sorrow for his actions. For the third and final time of this video,
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
you would think that an all-seeing cosmic being might know that. And once again, there is a more appropriate explanation. While Galactus certainly has eyes, and may or may not have a soul, it's been well established in Marvel Comics that he is a fundamental force of the universe itself. So it makes sense that the stare wouldn't work on him, because it would be like trying to do the stare on gravity or trying to fight an ocean. So in this case, Galactus gets the highest honor that this channel can bestow, the Comic Stand's certified Penance Stare pass, which is now legally binding in comic fandom circles. Unless you disagree, in which case, please let me know down in the comments who you think should or should not be immune to the Ghost Rider's Penance Stare. And while you're down there, please leave a like to let me know you've enjoyed this pedantic look into a very niche topic that most people do not know even exists. And if you've enjoyed this video, then you may also enjoy the Comic Lyric podcast, in which myself and my co-host do even more pedantic deep dives into some of the best of comic books. New episodes every Monday. Alright, that's it. Thanks for watching.